Hi, Bridget. How are you going this morning?
Yeah, I've got a lot here, and I'm going okay. How are you going?
I feel like there's a bit of stress I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Have you had a rough morning, or is this
No, it's been
going for a while for you?
It's been rough for a little while here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this is a safe room. Okay. So I'm just going to put some tissues here. Anything you need to do, let me know. If I can do anything for you, let me know.
Okay.
I can see that you're really upset, but can I tell you something, Bridget?
Yeah.
I can promise you one thing. You will walk out of here feeling better than when you walked in. So I can assure you of that.
Okay.
So let me go through. We've got a few boring things we have to do first. And this is my least favourite part, but we'll skip over this part as quickly as we can. And
I'll take boring over all the other stuff.
Okay.
How about that? So I'll take the boring.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do that. So let's get this stuff out of the way, and then I'd love to hear about what's happening for you and what you're hoping the service can do.
Okay.
All right. So Bridget, this is our service agreement, and this just goes over the way we provide the service and the bits and pieces that work around that. To one side of the screen, you'll see the service agreement. The service agreement gives the client the information about your service, the limitations of your service, you're free, you're independent, and that you may have to provide additional information for referrals and to professional services that can give the next step outside that financial counselling role. The service agreement talks about the expectations of the client, what they need to provide, the expectations of the service, and who's going to do which things throughout that process. The service agreement also looks at privacy and storage of information, including how the service is going to use that information for data collection and storage. The service agreement will also cover confidentiality and the rules around confidentiality, and when confidentiality can leave that space, and perhaps it could be regarding it could be a life concerning situation where we put life before confidentiality, and ergo you might need to breach that. The storage of the information and when that information is going to be deleted or removed from file also needs to be included in your service agreement, so clients know how long that information will be stored and basically all the things around that information. We provide the service agreement to those with an email address before the session starts, but at the beginning of the session, before you open a file, it's really important that the service agreement has been agreed to and is signed, or reply to an email saying that that service agreement is correct and there's no questions for your client. Thank you so much, Bridget. I'll pop this through the scanner. You'll take a copy home.
Okay.
And I'll have something. I'll scan the other one in my computer.
Okay.
All right. Just tuck him under there. So now we're just going to open your file and we'll go through all your information. You don't have a document for opening the file because different services will use different ways to collect information. As long as you've made sure that the service agreement is clear and you've got acknowledgement on the file that the service agreement has been agreed to with your client, you can then go forward and ask the questions regarding their personal information and any statistical data that your funder requires you to collect as a part of the financial counselling process. All right, thank you so much for answering all those questions, Bridget.
Yeah.
Look, now let's just let you have a space and tell me what's been happening and what your biggest concerns are.
Okay. So a number of years ago, I was working as a tradie.
Yeah.
And everyone that hired me was like, I want to have you. Specifically, I want to hire you. I don't want to hire I want to hire you. And they kept saying, I want to hire you. And they said, maybe you should have your own thing. And I was like, I can do that, So I started my own company, and it was just me for a little while. And I started hiring people, and, I was really going along good. And I got to a point where I had 12 employees. And
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, fantastic until I found out that, my bookkeeper hadn't done anything.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I got this letter. I'm so mad. I am so mad. I got this letter from the ATO that I was uncooperative.
Oh, okay. It says that in the letter.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I've never been uncooperative in my life.
Nice.
So I tried to call my bookkeeper, and I tried to tell, like, I was asking what happened, what is going on, and they wouldn't answer, and they wouldn't answer, and they were telling me that, it is what it is, and I can figure it out, and they've got another job now, and I was like, another job doing what?
Right.
Messing with other people. So I was going over everything. So that's why I brought like all of my my bank statement, my personal stuff, and my my business credit card stuff.
Yep. So you got business credit card.
Yeah. Yeah, and then my own bank account, because sometimes like I would accidentally use my personal account, but I know that if it was a business expense, I would keep the receipt and I would give it to the bookkeeper, but I knew I was doing it right, but then they didn't do it right. So then it got to a point where I just kept getting phone calls from my creditors and from different places. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I just really just backed away. And I couldn't get in touch with the bookkeeper, like I was saying, but I just wanted to get this organized. And I said, like, I don't want it to get any worse than it is. And I just wanted to get it organized. And someone said to call this office, and that's why I did that. So that's why I'm here. So I've got all this paperwork. I've got, I'm hoping that, this personal stuff and this business stuff that I don't have access to. I tried to get into the software that the accountant had, and it won't let me in. So.
Okay, so, yeah, I hear you. And the bookkeeper is no longer available to you?
No.
Okay, that's all right. We'll have a look at that.
Okay.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah.
What year did the company start?
That was 2018.
Yep, lovely. And when did you cease to operate as a business or a company? You said you're a PTY Ltd.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what it says on the June of 2024.
Beautiful. Well, that's nice and neat. At the June 2024, the end of that financial year. So that'll keep those things, that'll be nice and neat for you regarding that. Have you deregistered the business, the ABN, the ACN? No. So it's still open but not operational.
Yeah. I guess I had some denial there, wishing that because I was thinking, and someone told me, if you're not doing any business with those accounts and it doesn't, then it's not open anymore. And it's
true. It's fine to cease operating. We'll go through some of those steps that you might need to know how to go about it, so we can run through all of that as well.
Okay.
So now I just wanted to check, so you've got some personal accounts and some business accounts. Yeah, okay. Now you were a PTY Ltd, so what generally we'll find is that since you opened in 2018, you probably would have put some personal guarantees for those business accounts, which means that you'll be personally liable for those accounts as an individual, so it won't necessarily be separate from the company. So what we'll do is we'll go through all those accounts regardless of whether they're business or financial and action them in the same way and provide you with some options around that.
Okay.
So in order to just find what your best path will be going forward, I just wanted to get an idea of how much debts were in there. So I could see the biggest stress, or I felt the biggest stress for you was the ATO.
Yeah.
Can I have a look at the letter they sent you?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So it looks like just over 1.2 million to the ATO. Does that sound, is that roughly what it is today, do you think?
Yeah, that's the last letter I got.
Okay, all right. Let's get that one down. Okay, so I can see here where they've said, can I just say, I don't think it was you that wasn't cooperating. I have a feeling it could have been the bookkeeper. Who normally spoke to the ATO? Was it you or your bookkeeper?
My bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Like, I did the work to earn the money, and I trusted that they were going to do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah. Can I ask what your trade is?
Yeah, so I'm a carpenter.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so I do, rehabbing old houses and...
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
So you're a creative person.
Yeah, and I creatively trusted someone I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So that was...
Yeah, but you're not alone there. Unfortunately, we do see a lot of small business owners whose accountants or bookkeepers, may not have acted as you or somebody else expected they would. Unfortunately, you're the one that'll be legally liable for any of those concerns, but that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
So we can work a pathway forward.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So the first concern I think you have will be we need to access those financials. I can see here in this letter from the ATO that they've calculated some information, but it hasn't been provided to them. So they may have used financials from a previous business year. So I think what we need to do is provide up-to-date and correct information so we can get an audit of what the situation actually is.
Okay.
So how about, if you're comfortable, I'd like for you to be able to access those financials so we get an idea of what it's actually looking like and perhaps find out what the true amount is that you're owing to the ATO.
Okay.
Because until we know what that looks like, we don't know what all your options will be.
Okay.
Yeah?
So they might have just taken numbers that don't matter and just stuck them in there with their calculations.
Yeah, so what they may have done is used a previous business financials or a previous year of lodgement and applied them to a current year. So what can happen sometimes is that may not necessarily be the case.
Okay.
And they're going off figures that haven't been provided by you directly. The debt may not be correct.
Okay. How do we find that out?
So we need to access your software.
Okay.
Now, have you tried to access it yourself? Do you have a password?
So I came up with the password in 2018, but
Yep.
I think that they reset it, and I have not been able to access it since. So, they locked me out at one point.
And has the subscription finished? Is that why you can't get in, perhaps? So you no longer have access because... When was the last time you were paying for that subscription?
Probably at the end of June last year. Yeah.
If you're happy, I've got an authority here, and if you're happy, I can write down the information and then you can sign this authority. On the screen, you'll see the authority provided by Financial Counselling Australia. This authority gives in writing permission for you to act on behalf of your client when your client may not be able to act on their own behalf. There could be many reasons for that, which I know most of you will already have gone through. That authority, just as a tricky one, check the address. If they've moved or they're no longer living where they were living and their third party has a different address listed, you just want to make sure you say to your client, is this the address that bank or that service or that organisation will have for you? And that way you can be sure that when you put your authority through, it'll be agreed to. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Bridget. So we've got this authority now, and as I said, I'll be able to act on your behalf and see if we can get you access back to those documents.
Yeah, that's good. Just so we can get the right number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll put that one there. The same thing, I'll scan this. This will go into my system and you'll take this back with you. So everything you sign in this space you take home with you, so you've got a copy of everything.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Actually, can you email it to me? I'm not a big fan of paperwork.
No problem at all. Let me get that down. So then I can email it to you, and then I'll shred the original.
Yeah, perfect.
So you'll have an e-copy and I'll have an e-copy.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So email documents. Too easy. All right. Now, what's your next biggest concern?
My house. Right.
So do you have some information regarding your mortgage?
Yeah. This is right here.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Right. Okay, so you've got about 650,000 left on the mortgage owing to XYZ Bank. So let's just put that down in my figures.
And then my cars too.
Before we get to the cars, can I just check regarding the mortgage? Is it up to date, or is there any arrears on the mortgage?
No, that's paid on time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but it's the other. That's what they were saying, that someone told me that they'll take my house because I'm behind on the ATO. So it was sort of like, but I'm okay. So I'm paying this. I'm behind on this. So I wanted to get up to date with this, so I could do both. So I can pay both the mortgage and hopefully some on the tax department, so they don't come after everything.
So somebody said to you that because you're behind on the ATO but managed to keep up with your mortgage, that could put your house at risk.
Yeah.
Is that what they've said?
Yeah.
Look, I don't know yet if there's a concern regarding the house. We'll need to go through some more information. So why don't we just focus on getting the ATO straightened out, which will then hopefully keep that house safe.
Okay.
Is there anything secured against your house regarding any of the business or personal debt?
You know what? I don't know.
We can find that out, Bridget, don't worry.
Okay.
Let's put that one down as a question. I'll just give you that one back. Thank you so much. So, all right. We'll put that one there. That's no problem at all. Now, since the house is fine at this stage, lender-wise, we'll leave that one be. What about your business debts? Have you stopped paying your business accounts?
So the credit card,
right.
I'm not making the card suggests a certain amount, and I can't usually pay the whole minimum balance every month. I'm paying something. So that's, again, why I was coming here, because I tried to call them and they were like, they start yelling at me, and I was like...
They're not supposed to do that, Bridget. They're supposed to treat you with respect and care.
I don't remember any care in those phone calls, but like I was, they were asking for like $1,200 a fortnight, and I was like, I could pay you $200 a fortnight, and they just weren't having it at all. And then after I got off that call, then they started calling me a bunch, and they knew my number and that kind of thing. So it was like, now they had me or whatever, and I was like, I just ignore the calls. And that's another reason why, because I was just worried. You know what I mean? Like I was paying what I could. And so, yeah, that's the latest. Yeah. That's just the final part of the bill.
Yeah, I see here.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the calls are causing you a lot of stress at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, can they take my house?
When somebody owns an asset and they have debt, there's, that does come with a risk, because people want to recoup their losses. So I think that at this stage in time, let's move forward and not be concerned about who's going to do what with your home at this stage, and just focus on looking at each individual concern and then putting a plan in place. I'm worried about how much stress this business credit card is putting you under.
Yeah.
Can I just say that the fact you've continued to make payments shows good faith on your behalf, and the fact that they've been speaking to you disrespectfully, it's not the way the game should be played.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, how would you feel if I put an authority in place with the bank and ask them to give you some breathing space.
Yeah.
How would that feel for you?
Yeah.
So that way the calls will stop and they'll come to me, and that way I can communicate with the bank. You'll always be telling me what you want to do and how to direct me. I don't do a thing without your say so.
Okay.
But it does mean that then I can be the go-between. So I can provide you with a buffer. So you can focus on the things you need to do while I can focus on negotiating with the bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you, when we're looking at the bank, would it be helpful for you if we just put a hold on that for now until we figure out all the other things that are happening for you?
Yeah.
Would that be all right?
That would be perfect. Yes, that's what I was hoping coming here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, let's sign an authority for the bank and let's get that in place so I can contact them and let them know what the situation is. Just on that authority, if all the information is correct and recorded correctly as per the details that the third-party lender or financial institution has, there should be no issues with exchanging information documents between the service and the third party. If you reach a position where your authority is being rejected or they're refusing to share that information with you, you need to contact our Peak Financial Counselling Australia and inform them that that authority has not been accepted, because if it's not accepted, they're not doing the right thing and you can't get the best outcome for your client. All right, thank you, Bridget. So would you like me to email this to you as well once it's got, and I can shred the original? You don't want the paper?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Problem.
Okay.
Let's put that there in our list. All right, lovely. So far, we've got that consent with the ATO. We've got the credit card, which I'll have a conversation with your bank. You and I will figure out what to do, what your action plan looks like. But today there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So we just need to find out what's happening there. So I'm thinking, would a 3-month hold on those credit card payments be okay for you?
Yeah, so one thing I can do, if there's just a hold like that, I'm supposed to file my taxes, and...
Oh, you've got some outstanding tax concerns?
Well, no, so since last June, I got hired at a job. So I've been working, but not for the company that I was running.
I understand. So
now I got to file my taxes, and so if I can keep earning money and can we go to them and say how much I can afford to pay?
Would you like us to call the ATO now, let them know you're with the service, and then have a look at putting a hold on any further action with the ATO, which will again give you that breathing space. But I just want to go back to the credit card for a moment and just let you know, if we're looking at putting a 12-week or 3-month hold on the credit card, it does mean that will show up on your credit file as non-payments for those periods, but that only stays on your credit file for 12 months because it'll be under a financial hardship arrangement.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to request a hold on interest and fees, considering what the situation is, because I don't want your debt to continue to grow bigger with that credit card.
Right.
And then we can find out how you can look at that long-term action plan and which path you want to follow regarding these things as we go forward.
Yeah, okay.
All right, well, let's call the ATO now, let them know you're with a service. I've got a great team with the ATO that talk just to financial
you
counsellors.
know them?
I know them. And because it's after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I actually talk to the WA team, who are fabulous.
Okay.
Absolutely fabulous.
Okay.
So let's get that call to the ATO out the way. Now they'll ask you some questions. Have you got your ACN and your ABN and tax file number handy just there?
Yeah.
There's one of those things on the letters.
Yep.
Beautiful. You hold on to that for me.
Okay.
I'll talk to them first. Let them know who I am. I'll pass the phone to you. They'll identify who you are, and then you'll give permission for me to talk on your behalf.
Okay.
All right. Okay. The form that you see now is the proof of ownership form. This is a tool that you'll need when you want to be sure your client can identify themselves, and then you're ticking the boxes so you can speak to the ATO on their behalf.
So the information needs to have documentations from the ATO, which will have several different numbers and accounts, depending on whether it's a PTY LTD or an individual business owner, sole trader, those types of things. So if they've got that information handy, including a driver's license or Medicare card, that should make it a fairly seamless process. There are other examples on that PORO form that you can use when the client's not with you, and that'll explain what you need to provide to the ATO in order to make sure you can have a conversation. Keep the form handy if your client says they have a tax concern.
Wow, Bridget, how does that feel?
So much relief.
Oh, look.
It's so relieving.
A 12-month hold is fabulous. But Bridget, it goes to show they could see how complex your situation is. So they absolutely could see what was happening for you. And you articulated your position really, really well.
I just cannot thank you enough.
Are you okay, Bridget?
I'm so much better. I'm so much better. It just feels organized. It feels like I have answers. Just people have been talking to me over and over and over again. And oh, you need to do this and you need to do that. I don't. I just needed to make an appointment and sit. I just needed to tear the Band-Aid off. And that was hard. Just
yes.
to just admit that that's just such a relief. Thank you so much.
I love my job, Bridget.
You should.
It's people like you that makes me love my job, because there are lots of things that you'll be able to do, what we've already done and what we'll do going forward.
Yeah.
And there'll be lots of doors that we can open for you.
Yeah.
So just to recap, and I'm going to send you an email with the documents you've signed with me. And just to recap, I'll contact your software company and organise a window of time for you to be able to access your financials. The ATO have given us a 12-month hold, plenty of time. We'll give them an update in a couple of months about how we're going, what progress is happening.
Good.
We'll put a hold on that credit card for the 3 months. I'll send you some information about your credit file and credit reporting so you can see how that works. And then once we've got those things organised, we can send the information back to the ATO and see what that debt actually looks like. Now on our next visit, we'll find out what other things we haven't discussed today, and that way we'll get this statement of financial position organised, and we'll get all the pieces of that jigsaw together, and then I'll be able to provide you all the options you've got moving forward from here.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. There's so much clarity with the different things that are going on, and I know that you've got the contacts that I need, that I just didn't know how to begin.
My contacts are definitely a big part of how I can do well.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any questions or concerns or anything else that we haven't addressed that you felt was urgent?
No, I think, when you email me everything, I can sit down tonight and just look over everything and put it all straight in my head. It's just, before it was just jumbled paperwork, and now it's organized and I know each part. So yeah, I'm just so grateful. Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, Bridget. If you forgot anything, you just reply to my email and let me know. If there's anything that's worrying you, or you've got contact with a third party asking questions about any of your debt concerns, you flick me an email and let me know. We'll walk this journey together.
Sounds good.
All right. You take care of yourself, Bridget. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me today.
Thank you.
No problem.